Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Resilient Show. Got something super special for you guys today that dropped in our laps, and we did not want to miss the opportunity. 3 Ukrainian warriors here. I'll say warriors because they're from different backgrounds. We have a pastor. We have 2 commanders who have led, fighting on the front lines or here in Houston, doing some liaison work in Houston. As you guys know, myself, Mighty Oaks Foundation, my work with Fourth Option, Sea Spray has taken me to Ukraine 10 times, taken our team to Ukraine 30 times, and we've been there to help. Many of you have read the book Mission Without Borders and understand my heart for the Ukrainian people and what's happening there, and my heart really and passion to educate the American public on what's actually happening there, beyond the politics, beyond all the money and all that stuff, just understanding the heart of the people in Ukraine. And one of my opening lines, I'll say this in front of these gentlemen before we even start, one of my opening lines in the book, I give an author's note, all the accusations that I got. Why are you in Ukraine? Why are you there? President Zelensky's corrupt. President Biden's corrupt. We're sending $200 billion there. None of it's getting used to help people. And my statement to that is, it doesn't matter to me about President Zelensky's involvement or President Biden's involvement. What matters to me is people. And for me, if you're a Christian or a conservative or just someone who cares about people and you let your politics get in the way of your compassion for people, you should change your politics. If there is corruption in Ukraine, and I personally believe there is corruption in Washington, D.C. and in Ukraine through all this money, because there's a lot of money. I personally believe there is corruption there. If there is corruption, the victim of that corruption is the people. And we cannot lose our hearts for the innocent people, especially those in Ukraine who live in a place just like us. Ukraine is very much first world country. We're here in Texas, neighborhoods in Ukraine. The kids go to ice cream parlors and pizza shops and preschool. And I've driven through places like Izum and Kharkiv and seen ice cream parlors and pizza shops and daycares leveled to rubble. No military targets, just innocent, just precious life. And when I say attacked, I don't mean collateral damage. I mean ballistic missiles the size of telephone poles flown into where only civilians are. This is not okay. And this requires people to help. And that's why we went. And I've been honored to go to Ukraine on a number of occasions and be able to help there. And one of the ways I feel like I could help today is learning these gentlemen who are in town and giving them a chance to speak to you, our audience, and share some on-the-ground insight information of what actually happens in Ukraine. You're not going to hear this on mainstream media. You can tune in to Fox, CNN, MSNBC. I promise you won't hear what these gentlemen have to say without even talking to them. I just know that what's being told in mainstream media is much different than what's being actually seen on the ground. And so, gentlemen, very honored to have you here and thankful you come on the Resilient Show to share your insights of what you've seen in Ukraine and being Ukrainians and serving there. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you enjoyed Texas?
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's not the summertime. I know Pastor Oleg came in the summer before, and I don't blame you for hating it. I've had Ukraine weather, but I've had Ukraine summertimes. I've had Ukraine winters.
Yeah.
And Ukraine
I'm
winters.
sorry.
Ukraine winters are pretty tough. So I want to let each of you guys introduce yourself, kind of briefly, your name and what you do as in your service to Ukraine military.
Yeah, my name is Oleg, and I'm a pastor of a Protestant church back in Kyiv, Ukraine. And up until 2022, I was actively involved in being a pastor. But then I had to give up my congregation to my brothers to take care of. And I got a new congregation of 120 volunteers that served under my command. And now I am a part of the volunteer battalion. I'm not a part of the official army. It's a volunteer battalion. So basically, for my government, I'm a civilian, but we are in the front lines doing what we are doing as civilians, helping our army. So at the moment, I'm doing CASEVAC. I'm a combat medic, advocating our guys from the trenches.
Outstanding. Let's see if I say it right. Lieutenant Colonel Bert.
Yeah, I'm Lieutenant Colonel, Deputy Assault Brigade Commander, responsible for battle training. Before I was Chief of Military Commander Skill in Azov Regiment. I won one of 4 Defense Commander of Mariupol Garrison during Defense 2022. Start this story in command position, finish in small groups like team leader, squad leader, Humvee commander, and push all my way from platoon leader to battalion commander through environment of battle in Ukraine.
Wow. I just, from what you said, for those that don't know, that's a lot of frontline combat in those positions.
Yeah, actually, like in Mariupol, it was our last stand. It was our Alamo. I got in captivity, and it was like the same Reds do with American boys in Hanoi Hilton. The same they do with us. It's the same enemy, the same mentality of horde.
Well, I'm glad you're here with us today.
I'm happy to, Bill.
Yes, yes. Sir, sleepy?
Sleepy.
Sleep.
Okay.
Sleep
Like to sleep. My name is Sleep. Let it be. I'm the commander of 2nd Assault Battalion, 3rd Assault Brigade. But now, actually, for a few months, I'm the leader of recruitment of 3rd Assault Brigade. Actually, I have created the 2nd Assault Battalion. My battlefield way began in 2014 in Azov Regiment. I was fighting 2014, 2015, but then returned, became a civilian. But when the Great War started, I came to Kiev and created the battalion, which after it stands a part of 3rd Assault Brigade. There were 90% of civilians in this battalion. I was among the officers who made the defense of Kiev. So actually, after 7 days of training, the people from the street who didn't understand anything about military, about war, were fighting against elite forces of Russian army in Kiev district in Mashun. Maybe you know this place, and it was really hard, it was really difficult, but we made it. So now I'm leading the recruitment in the 3rd Assault Brigade, and it's really also hard work because it's not easy to recruit people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is it? I guess I'll just jump right in to start with you with a question since you're ending with recruitment. Is there a draft in Ukraine? I know that I've heard a lot of different things, like 16 years old to 60. What's the actual number?
Actually, I can say that I'm presenting the best brigade in Ukraine because there are two ways of recruiting, mobilization and recruitment. And we chosen second way. It's the way of when people want to go to your brigade because they know the history of success of this brigade and they trust the commanders of this brigade. Yeah, we have a media company. We are trying to speaking about it in media, but we also have these histories of success and people know about us and people want to join us because our brigade, we have the lowest rate, LOTIO, in our direction, 1 Ukrainian to 18 Russians. And we have the high medical education in our brigade, and we are human-oriented brigade. So we are thinking about our people, we are caring about our people, and for us it's really important not just to win, but we are winning for our people, we are winning for our country, we are winning for people, for our culture and for our history.
Yeah, I could say that I witnessed that firsthand, and I was very impressed by it. Driving through different parts of Ukraine, I would see really motivational, like recruiting billboards. And then I go in hotels and have like a meal, and they'd be like digital screens of like reminding people why the fight's happening and really incentivizing people to join and mobilize into the military. And I thought, a lot of the rumors I was hearing about conscription and things like that, I'm like, well, if they're doing that, then why are they advertising in recruiting in this way, this real positive way? And it's really motivating. I mean, there's a lot of national pride with the beautiful colors of the flag. You got your flag on your shoulder there, talking about history and fighting for freedom in their homes. And so that was one of the things that I witnessed. And so the recruiting effort seemed really great. And I met a unit called Safari. Have you guys heard of Safari? Yeah. And met those guys, and those guys were so motivated to be part of the fight. And I'm like, these guys don't look like guys that were conscripted. They look like people that are actually care about their homes and their families and their freedoms, and fighting for what was being taken from them. Is there still a ban of people like at a certain age group that can leave or not, like men being able to leave and not leave the country?
Yeah, it is because it's a war and it's really necessary. And it's not just about leaving a country; it's also about incoming to a country because Russian intelligence works really good, and they spend a lot of money to eat a lot of centuries, and that's why we should be really careful, and we should understand that we have a lot of danger directions, not just in our front line, but outside the country.
Yeah, I agree with those two, by the way. So I've seen, as my team and I go in and out of the country, we've had people try to, hey, can you help take us out with you? And no, you need to stay here and take care of your country. This is where you need it right now. Pastor, I've witnessed a lot of pastors, and one of the things I write about in my book that I was so impressed by is pastors that were here in the U.S., Ukrainian pastors that were here in the U.S. working here in February of 2022 when this all went down. They got on a plane and went back to Ukraine. In the church network, proved to be a phenomenal liaison between the international non-government organizations and nonprofits that were there to help in connecting the NGO community to the military. And it was pastors that have just built this amazing network. And so I've been so impressed with seeing the pastor network in Ukraine rise up and throw a uniform on, go from pastors to chaplains and medical providers. What motivated you to do that? Like, did you know right away, like, I need to leave the pulpit, put a uniform on, and go in the field?
Well, I see the war for me started not in 2022, but in 2014. That's when one of my friends volunteered to go and fight, and he asked me if I can help him with something, and we started helping our guys, because at that moment there was no Ukrainian army, because Russia was destroying Ukrainian army for many years before that. So we've been helping. Me and my team, we created a charity and started buying stuff and taking it to the front lines to help our guys. So actually, on the very moment of the Russian invasion in 2022, we were driving to the front lines. I wasn't home. We were halfway to the front lines delivering stuff. And when Russians started bombing Kharkiv and Kiev and other cities, I wasn't home. I was on the way to the front line. So for me, it wasn't the first question that was in my mind. What do I do to keep my family safe? So we had to turn back. We went home and we sent our families to the west of Ukraine. And I stayed in Kiev, and I collected all my friends that I knew, and we got 120 people together, found some weapons to fight with, and we went off to fight. So for me, it wasn't a question. Like, I wasn't thinking whether I should do it or not, because I knew that I have to do something more than just help our army with stuff.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I was asked a lot in the media were like, because I went there in February. I went into Ukraine immediately, and our mutual friend Sea Spray, he was there a week before, because we knew this was going to happen. So it was there like a week before this all happened. And the reason we were there, because we knew we closed our embassy and consulate before we moved Americans out. So we, like, if Russia crosses, which they will now because the U.S. left, and all the European countries left as well, all the NATO left. So that gave Putin a green light to cross. We felt our White House created this problem, but didn't remove our Americans. So we chose to go and have Sea Spray there to be able to move Americans out. So I was there really quickly. I was there in February of 2022. And one of the things I was asked a lot on the news was about people leaving. And obviously there's a long lines of people leaving. But what people didn't talk about were the people coming back. There were so many Ukrainians from around the world that said, this is my country, this is my freedom, my family's here. I may not be part of the military, but I'm going to fight. And I was so like moved by that. It really inspired me, because I had never seen that before. I've been to 60 countries around the world. I've been involved in a lot of wars. I've never seen a people come together as a nation and just say, we're not going to let this happen to us.
I can tell you that out of those 120 volunteers that served under my command, I would say 10% of them, they came back from Europe and from all over the world to fight. They didn't even think about it, whether to do it or not. They just did it.
Yeah. Against a world superpower.
Yeah.
This is not tribal war. So, Lieutenant Colonel, I really want to spend some time talking to you about the front lines because I think this is what's missing in the mainstream media in America. The American public has not been educated on what's really happening there. We hear very high level from President Zelensky. We hear from President Biden. Sound bites that are like 3 minutes long on the news, but no one knows what's happening on the front lines, the civilian casualties, the what it's like for a soldier to be on the front line of the Russian war. And I've unfortunately, I say unfortunately, it was a privilege to see it, but it was heartbreaking to see it. I've been to Izum, I've been to Mariupol, I've been to Kharkiv. I spent time in Kharkiv. I've been rocketed in these places, like and seeing a civilian. It's heartbreaking, and I wish there were journalists that were putting cameras on these apartment buildings where women and children live, and seeing this and being able to go on the front lines, like we see in many wars, on the front lines with the camera, talking to the soldier that knows he's fighting and he probably has days to live because he's on the front line. You've been there from very bottom to being leading at the top. What's it like on the front line from the beginning till now?
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I think your customers, your friends need to watch 20 Days in Mariupol. It's a movie available now at Netflix. So it describes all memories from Mariupol that I want to forget. About the hospitals, about the pretty child who grows with us, who be with us in musician and arts festivals that we always making in Mariupol. And Russia understanding that they will lost the influence of propaganda for the people, because now they have a culture. The people with culture cannot be controlled by propaganda. So they start offensive to cut our connection with roots. They always do like this. They try to steal our soul of Ukrainians. So during the front lines, before I read a lot of things a book, but book cannot describe you these emotions when you see it by your own eyes. My first battle engagement was in Ilovaisk, and that time I first fighting with regular Russian forces. It was airborne divisions over there, and I see what they do with civilians. They have no any rules of engagement. So for Russian, only one rules of engagement: to conquer, to seize the territory, and they will pay the high cost for it.
A lot of times when wars like this happen and the media doesn't report it well, people have a hard time understanding who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, because you hear both sides. So people will say, well, Putin had the NATO knocking at his door, so he felt threatened and he had to act. That's the defense that people will give towards Russia. And then people will say, well, Ukraine has a right to defend themselves. And so it can be very confusing for people that don't know what you know or don't know what I know. And I always simplify it like this. In any war I've been part of, I simplify it like this. If one side lays down their guns, what happens? If the Ukrainians lay down their guns and stop fighting tomorrow, what would happen?
If Ukraine lay down, it will be slavery.
Slavery.
I was 5 months at captivity. I listened to their propaganda. They tortured us. They tortured our Ukrainian pastors. I have a good friend. It was Ukrainian church in Berdyansk. It's a very beautiful town, like Galveston in Texas. It was nice, really Ukrainian church over there. So I visit with my wife at Eastern usually. And months ago, a couple of my brothers was released from captivity, and they told me stories that the pastor from this church tortured them so many times that he wanted to cut his life 2 times. I cannot imagine what they do with the pastors who push him to make the first sin, cut his life. It's broke my heart too much, because I understand, I remember what they can do. So
because you're a prisoner.
Yeah, I was prisoner of war for 5 months, and it's not people. It's red force. They never change. They push using communism propaganda to release all beasts from human nature, and they give them green light
to do what they want.
Yep.
Yeah. So you go to that question, right? If Ukraine lies down their guns, it's death, destruction, slavery. But if Russia lays down their guns, it's peace, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
So that tells the story.
We have no options.
Everybody should understand that if you have ever seen the propaganda videos of Russians when Putin asks little child where the borders of Russia ends, and child answering him nowhere. Another propaganda video where children is singing songs about how they will return Alaska. Putin is not thinking about himself like in geopolitical, political, or economical positions. He wants to be the part of history. He wants to rebuild Soviet Union. You know, when Soviets came to our land, firstly they destroyed all churches and they killed all pastors. And we had the century in our history without God. We had the century without spirituality. So that's why they want to rebuild this. He wants to be the part of history, and he wants to make this red disease to make all world red. And when we are speaking about with Republicans, I'm saying to a lot of them, there can be just a great empire in this world because we are living in globalistic world now. It would be the dictator empire of Russia of red disease, or it would be the democratic empire of United States. Now I'm speaking not about political influence. I'm speaking about philosophy and culture influence in the world. So that's why we should change for what we are fighting. I'm not speaking not about Ukrainians now. I'm speaking about all over the world because today we have the real war in our territory, but we have the war of mentality in all over the world. And all humans, all people in the world should choose the side where we are.
And Chad, you know, the most unbelievable thing that Russians think they fight with Americans on Ukraine soil. When they interrogate me, they asking me who is my CIA ruler, who is my boss from Pentagon, where is American soldiers. Now we have a dozen former enlisted NCOs, American officers who stand with us in trenches. But it's not too much. It's like couple maybe battalions here, but they really thinking they fight with America. And the most important, they think they win this war.
Take us back. I want to hear back from the front line with the what's life like for a young 20-year-old Ukrainian soldier on the front line. I hear stories that life expectancy is days. How many guys are dying on the front line? What's life like living on that front line?
You know, like welcome to infantry.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, but in other way, so our guys have like they have good commanders, good NCO who protect them, and they kill a lot of Russian. They understand powerful of Ukrainian weapon. They understand importance to hold the line. And if you watching video from satellites and from drones, you see a lot hordes of Russian corps in our tree lines, because our guys do their best to stop this fluid, to stop this aggression. Yep. And life for infantry is now very hard, but they do their best.
I've been, you know, all different seasons of all the different seasons of Ukraine, and the winters are hard. And winter's coming for the infantry.
Winter is okay, but when it's like moderate season, like mud.
Yes.
Yeah, mud and rain is the worst thing.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes when it's cold, it's better. If it's frozen, it's better than when it's cold and wet and muddy.
Yeah, we will never forget, and you will never forgive these winters because in memory they will stand all their life.
Yeah. Hey guys, 10 years ago, I had found myself in a position to where investing in Mighty Oaks and all the different things I'm involved in, I had found myself not prepared for retirement. And I went to my friend Ryan Wheelis at Allied Wealth. He had been a longtime supporter of Mighty Oaks Foundation. From the beginning, he's one of our first donors to Mighty Oaks, has been a friend for a long time, and I really trusted him. And he has helped me build my retirement and invest in my future through his company, Allied Wealth. He's one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to wealth management, and has taken money that I had stuck away in 401ks that was not really producing and made it produce tenfold. And I'm so happy with the results for me that I asked him to partner with this show, and he is a partner of this show now. And we want to not only let you guys know about Allied Wealth, but we're going to be doing some special episodes on wealth management with Ryan helping co-host them. I say co-host. I'm going to be asking him questions, and we're going to be providing you information on how to best manage your wealth. So if you're like me and you need someone to help you with your retirement, with your investments, with just your overall wealth management, go to alliedwealth.com and meet Ryan and his team to get you set up.
Yeah, actually, Dmitry mentioned me like stories in 2015 that we was in Shirokino assault operation. We have no level 7. That times it was very cold for us. We hang each other like band of brother to keep some warm. Yep, and this cold like remind me every day. But I pray God that now I have level 7.
Yes, yes.
It saves.
So I want to talk about the topic of U.S. financial aid because it's an uncomfortable topic, and I know there's some things you could probably say and some things you can't because of your position. But so whatever you can't say, I understand. But one of the problems in America is that the American people have lost trust in the American government for spending. Right now, for example, our Department of Defense says they can't account for $1 trillion in their budget. Like when I file my taxes here, if I'm off $1, they're gonna come after me and find me and put me in jail maybe. But so American people have really lost trust, and so there's a very discomfort with the American people that send $200+ billion to Ukraine and not know if it's being used or not. What are we seeing on the front lines for the money that we're sending there? What equipment? Because I've seen guys that not have tourniquets, not have IFAC, individual first aid kits. I've seen nonprofits have to go through pastors and get this stuff out there. One, what is the truth of what's happening there? Is aid getting to the front lines? One. And then secondly, is there other efforts that people could do through churches or whatever to donate and make sure that resources get to the front lines to support those troops?
You know, it really helps. It really helps. It saves the lives. Like old M16s that I got, it's helped life. Yeah, I'm ordered by myself, like by ourselves. We ordered scopes for it and kill a lot of Russian, like even like Belleville boots, and it wasn't the best boot. And we also get like old school APC M113. It's now the best APC that I see because it has a very powerful army. It saves a lot of crew inside. It saves a lot of infantry.
Where's those come from, the APCs?
Some from States, some from Australia, some from Netherlands. Yeah, it's very great weapons. Everything we got, it really saves our life. But like in compare, North Korea sending amount of shells for Russia without any pollution, without any words, the same amount that we get from rest of the world. Russia have own big capabilities, so they have like superiority of it. So we still have not enough. So that's why we're taking like everywhere we can. So even like replacements, training, munition, it's everything very important. Each donation, it save one life. So like human life is most important in the world. So we are not Russian. We are people-oriented brigade. So we found an approach for our people and making everything we can to increase surveillance of our people. So that's why any help the states do is very important for us. You know, before and during Mariupol campaign, I never fought with Western weapons. We were using old AK-74. And when I was released, when I see like first time Ukrainian aviation, when I see like American shells coming to Russian trenches, I say, oh yeah, I want more napalm. I want more napalm to bomb this red communist.
Yes.
You know, can I add something? Before the war started, Great War started, nobody in Ukraine believed that it would. Before the First or Second World War started in Europe and in the world, nobody in Europe, in America, believed in it. But if there were not general suppression in the Second World War, general pattern in Second World War, the architecture of this world would be another. So that's why I think today only two countries has such big experience and experience of the war future. If we can compare the war of 2014 with war in Afghanistan, if we can compare the war of 2022 with First World War, today war we can't compare with nothing, because now more than 85% of enemy loss we are making by drones, by ground drones, by flying drones, by different technology systems. And it's not just about using it, it's about tactic of using it, it's about a strategy of using it. And that's why you should receive our experience, because I was spoken to different officers, to different armies of NATO, and they are too sure that they have good armies. But if the nature of war is always in statics, the character of war is always in dynamics. So that's why your army shouldn't stay in one place. So answering your questions, that Americans are tired of Ukraine, are tired of maybe different foreign problems, and should decide your own problems. I want to answer that this red disease is really going through all over the world. The intelligence working all over the world, and I'm sure they will not attack you for the 5 years, maybe for the 10 years. But world is changes all the time. So I think every one of us wants peace. But if we want peace, we should be prepared for the war.
Yeah. One of the things I've seen, I'll get you Pastor Oleg. One of the things I seen when I was going to Izum, when I went to Izum, I went the day after it was liberated. And so there was a lot of fighting. And I seen these tanks, and never seen this before any war I've been. These tanks were melted to the ground. The turrets over here, the tracks are here, and it's just melted to the center. And these are the javelins, right? I'd never seen this before, and I said, man, down the street, I just seen an apartment building where women and children were killed, but because these weapons are here, that's less women and children that are going to be killed. So these weapons were effective. So I hadn't seen the troops getting the equipment they need on a personal level, but I have seen these big, javelins and things like that, very much effective on the battlefield. I'm sure you've seen plenty of those the effects of those javelins.
God bless javelins and all guys who produce it.
Yes. Pastor.
You have to understand that about 80% of all the financial help that we're getting actually stays in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's
Can you explain that?
Yeah. We don't receive the money. We don't get the cash, from the US.
Right.
The US government gives money to the US companies and uses that money to buy stuff to send to Ukraine. Used vehicles, used army stuff like equipment,
Boeing,
weapons,
Martin.
Everything. So 80% of that money actually stays here in the US. And yes, we are getting equipment and weapons from US. Like in my case, M113 is the best vehicle to do case evac because it really saves lives. Like we're still using a lot of ordinary pickup trucks to get to the trench to get a soldier and run away. But now, as my body
for like evacs, medical evacs.
Yeah. But with M113, it changes the game because we stay alive, basically.
A lot of the medical supplies and stuff you're getting, those are coming from NGOs, non-government organizations, nonprofits.
Not necessarily. Like a lot of it coming from NGOs, but a lot of it comes from the States as well.
Okay. Yeah. So like tourniquets and things
tourniquets,
like that.
You name it. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, I want to say I remember times that I have only AFV like Grand Jeep Cherokee, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Hilux. It was my IFV and APC boss. And when we get real APC and IFV, like in Avdiivka, we operate with 47 Brigade. It's also our good brothers. And we see what Bradley can do with Russians. Yeah. We attach them to our night ops units, and we crushed a lot of bastards over there because Bushmeister is the best gun that I watched before. It's really good. So it's really a weapon from states who saved a lot of lives of my subordinates and our childs and our territory.
Yeah.
One of you guys mentioned the North Koreans. A lot of people right now are talking about World War II, potentially World War III. For me, I almost see this as you said the world's changing. This almost is a World War III to me. Like World War III to me is like happening in Ukraine because there's 30 countries represented. America's there, Iran's there. You see North Korean there, like China. Everyone's involved in this place. So this is a proxy like World War III. What countries have you seen on the battlefield have the most influence?
From our side or from enemy side?
From all sides.
From our side, we have a lot of, call them crusaders. We have crusaders from around Europe, from Latin Americas, like South Americas, and guys like we have Colombians guys, we have guys from Canada, United States, Australia, Croatia, European guys with us, Finnish guys. I have like very good NCO from Finland Army. It was great. I have like subordinate former American NCO. My brother from Ranger Regiment, he was my advisor and make me a lot of assistance. So a lot of crusaders standing with us, yep. But Russia use it like not like voluntaries. They have land lease from the China. Just need to call and wagon by wagon drones and spare parts will be there. We found it from anywhere. Even I'm order a lot of things from eBay, from Amazon to like improve my resistance. But like we cannot imagine before that will be Iranian drones, like North Korean shells and artillery units. So we don't scare about North Korean troops really. But most important, they send in artillery units there. They will send in command and staff units, signal units, and that guys will get good experience to spread it in the Pacific.
So that's why they're sending them there for experience. I guess I'll jump back and ask that question. Or actually, not just supplies, but or North Koreans in Ukraine fighting.
Not just North Koreans, because a lot of African countries, such as Mali, we saw the passports from India, from different Asian countries.
Serbian guys.
I think it looks like the war between Western and Eastern world in the battlefield in Ukraine. So you are really right. We have the demo version of World War III. It looks like when in 2014 we had the demo version of Great War in Ukraine. Now we have the demo version of World War III. But you know, somebody can think that we should stop it and not to make it gross, yes? But actually, we should really stop it, but not just freezing the conflict. We should destroy Russia from a lot of sides, in the battlefield, in economy, in politics, and we should make it weak again, because now it's standing more powerful, and this red disease will only grow up.
Yeah.
Answering your question, I just want to mention that you have to understand that United States of America plays a huge role in this war, even though you are not represented as a country at the battlefield, but the support that NATO is providing and US being a pushing power of NATO changes the war. And I think we're still alive and we're still there and we're still fighting because of your guys' help.
It's true. We have no option. We will survive or we will die. But like with your support, with your unity of efforts, we have a chance to survive.
With all your perspectives of what you've seen, and I could maybe point this question to you, Pastor Oleg. This show is called Resilient. Being resilient, means to overcome hardships, to endure hardships. The morale within the Ukrainian troops after years now, over 2 years now of enduring this. Everybody that's fighting has lost personally. We know that. We know they lost friends and relatives and loved ones, sons and daughters and spouses. What's the morale like, and what's the future of the resilience of the Ukrainian people there?
You see, we know what we're fighting for. We know that we are on the right side of this war, and we know that God is for those who are being abused, and God always stands for the widows and orphans, and we read in the scripture. So we know that we were not the ones who invaded. We are protecting our people. We are protecting our sons and daughters and our fathers and mothers. So that what keeps our spirit high. We know that we're much lesser than they are. Like Ukraine is 28 times smaller than Russia. It has less people, it has less weapons and stuff like that. But the fact that we are still fighting after 1,000+ plus days of the big war, and I'm not even counting the 10 years of the war of the previous war. It tells us that probably he is with us, and he gives us strength to stand against this Goliath.
So
I believe that too.
We have the same history, because like we divided in 2 centuries, but George Washington was close to defeat. A lot of countries pushed him to cease fire and lay down, because the British Empire was the most powerful empire at that time. But you never give up. And Spanish and French also make good support for you, and you conquer this street, you gain your liberty, your freedom. So we have also any options to get our independence.
Yeah, if France wouldn't have gave us weapons, we'd be speaking proper
Exactly.
English right now here.
Exactly.
Drink some water.
yes, exactly.
Talking about resilience, when we speak about resilience, we always think about something tough and rough. But for me, resilience is being flexible, because blessed are flexible because they will not be broken. That's about us. Like, we are adjusting the way this war goes on. We're adjusting to the circumstances, and I think that's the huge part of us being resilient.
Yeah.
We learn fast.
We all have suffered personal loss through war, and it's never easy to talk about. But one of you mind sharing with the audience a very close personal loss to bring home how personal this is to us? I'll leave it to any of you guys that might want to share a personal story.
The very same day when I was wounded in action, my deputy was killed in action. He was saving 6 civilians that we found in the basement of the village that we were protecting, defending. They were there for days. I don't know how many days, and we heard them screaming, yelling, and we had to clear the entrance to the basement, and we didn't know what to do with them because the battle was going on. But my friend volunteered to lead them out of the village, and he did. He saved their lives. But on the way back, he was killed, and that was the first death of my close friend that I faced, and I still remember all his advices and everything, like the way he was treating people, the way he was looking at the life and others and God. It encourages me up until this day.
Yeah, the reason to get back out there and keep doing finish what he was doing. Yeah.
We doing each rep of any exercise for each our brothers that was killed in action. But after Mariupol, and now it's more than 500, 600. Half of my guys, half of my best NCOs was killed in action in Mariupol. Third part of them are still in captivity. And I also, when I'm empowered new generation of NCO, and teach them with their examples. Before we have like examples from history, from the books, your examples. We started like from your books, your example from Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. After that, we get our own war and our own fallen heroes. And in each my lecture about leadership, I have a picture, I have a story for the best NCOs that give all for protect our country. So like for me, it starts in Ilovaisk when I lost first my guys, and now I understand that I have no back door because I'm promised him. One of my guys, he was from Lugansk territory, who was held by Russia from 2014. So I cannot give up because I promised him liberate his home. And I have a lot of like graveyards behind my commanders. So I'm responsible for it. So when I teach my guys, you're responsible for all your subordinates and for your same sacrifice. So it's very painful, yeah. And I visit a lot of funerals. The most painful thing is to speak with families, because I sometimes feel my guilty. I also teach my subordinates you must make after action review. You must get lesson learned. So tomorrow not make the mistakes. Sometimes you cannot do anything. It's a fate because we don't kill our guys. It's Russian kills them. And we get a lot of lessons from our sacrifice to avoid it in the future.
That's beautiful, by the way. I can feel that because I can relate to the history of people we lost and learning from those lessons and carrying that mission forward. So thank you. Yeah, sir.
I lost my friend, a really good friend, in 2015. And after it, I created the sport gym of his name to his honor, Sergei Ambros Crossfight. It's in Cherkasy, and Veteran Hub, honored to his name, Ambros Hub. Unforgotten and unforgiven. It's the main things which should be exist in our hearts and in our minds. And when you are soldier in the battlefield, it's really hard physically, but when you are officers and you have a lot of responsibility for your people, it's much more harder by moral. During this almost 3 years, I have lost a lot of people. We have the lowest loss ratio in the Ukraine, but I lost people, and it will be the bad traumatic experience for all of my life. But the main things which I understand and which everybody should understand that first they shouldn't be forgotten and they shouldn't be forgiven. And the most important things, we're fighting for our freedom. We're fighting not to be the slaves. And if we will not fight, all of us would be or killed or made slaves. So that's why we have no another choice.
Yeah. One of the things I said in the front lines, meeting with commanders on the front lines, and also I'll say to you guys, as an American who's been in combat, I've never experienced what you guys experienced. We had 9/11 happen here, and then we went there to fight. And my wife and my kids were safe here. I've never had to fight not knowing that at the same time as I'm fighting, my wife and kids are not safe. I can't even relate to that. And I couldn't even speak to that, how you guys have to deal with defending your homes, dealing with defending your freedoms and fight an invader while you're still worried about your families and your neighborhoods and where you grew up. I can't even imagine. But I could tell you that through all the politics and through all the division on this topic of Ukraine, there are a lot of people who care. And you see it. You see people volunteering to go fight, not even from your country. You see the resources coming in, the pastors and coming here and seeing it's people that care. And you know, if anything else, I want to communicate that to you. People do care about what you guys are doing, and we can't relate, but we're as people that support you guys, and I do. And my heart, from what I've seen, I can never unsee what I've seen in Ukraine. My heart breaks, you know, and all the politics aside, all the debate about supporting Ukraine and not supporting Ukraine aside, I do want you to know that people do care. I want to ask this question. We just had an election in the United States. President, there's going to be a change in administration. President Trump's coming into office. President Trump, even on the debate stage, has vowed to end the Ukrainian war through diplomacy and negotiations. My personal opinion, I don't know what you guys are. I haven't even talked to you guys about this. My personal opinion is that he can do it. I don't know how it looks if it does. I hope he can do it. If he can't, then I think things are going to escalate. The election happened, but we have a delay in America. So not till January 20th he takes office, and in between this election and the inauguration, we're seeing an escalation. We're seeing the intercontinental ballistic missiles being fired into Russia, and you're seeing an escalation. What is you guys' take on this? Like, do you guys believe that things should just slow down and wait to see what happens, or is it necessary right now to take this cross? I say it's take cross borders because it's not fair, because it's come cross borders to you guys, right? So I just want to know what your position is on that.
We need to show unity of effort. We need to show them it's not depends of politics. We are strong. We are strong together. Our both nations strong. Russian only understand word of power, world of strong guys.
Yeah.
We want things to escalate because we don't believe in peace agreements with Russia. We've had, since 2014, we've had almost 200 peace agreements with them. None of them worked.
They
violated all of them. So we don't believe in it. And so we want things to escalate because that's the only way. We want peace, okay? We don't want to fight. We want peace, but the peace through victory, not the peace through submission of our territories to Russia, because Putin's not going to stop. Even if we sign a peace agreement with him, he would take that time just to, maybe he would wait until the new president comes in after 4 years, and he
just
would
like last time, right?
Yeah, he would get stronger. He wouldn't stop in Ukraine, okay? He wouldn't even stop to get some rest. He would run to Europe. And at some point, that's what we've been telling people here. If we fail, at some point, you would have to send your boys to fight and die in Europe.
Yeah, Poland first. And
yes, of course.
And I appreciate that. What's victory look like? And that's for any of you guys. Any of you guys can answer. What's victory look like for Ukraine?
I think I will add something for the previous question. I really sure that leadership matters. For example, our success is completely combined with our commander of brigade, Andrew Beletsky. He's a real leader, and I think that Donald Trump. I watched his interviews. I read a lot about him, and I trust him. And I think that this president understands the situation of the world better than a lot of people. And so that's why I think Donald Trump understands that red disease can destroy the world, and he would stop it.
I want to say something with that. Historically, we've seen Reagan successfully. To me, it was successfully. Maybe you guys may not agree. Do this to Gorbachev through the economic powers.
Yeah, I personally believe this is one of the very powerful ways to end this war and to have victory in Ukraine. Soviet Union fell because of the economics, because of the oil prices, and that's what Mr. Trump can do easily. Just drop the oil prices and because Putin is using oil money to fuel this war.
It's their only natural resource, unless they take Ukraine and they have natural. But it's the only natural resource right now. So that's why I have hope in President Trump being able to bring peace, because he's not afraid to leverage the economic impact of cutting Russia off like Reagan did.
But it would influence U.S. citizens, and we are asking you to maybe suffer a little bit for the greater purpose.
And that's why we're having this conversation so people here, so you guys listening could hear why, right? These are our neighbors, and these are people very much, I tell you, very much like us. In fact, someone you quoted today that we had a historical congressman from Texas that said his experience in Ukrainians were they were the Texans of on the other side of the world. So these are very like-minded people to the Texans and Americans, and it's when you help your neighbor, it's always a sacrifice. So you call and say, "Hey, I need some extra eggs. I'm giving from my cupboard to yours," because it's a sacrifice, but it's because we care.
Jimbo is spirit with us.
Yes,
that's what Bible says. Like we're one body, and if your hand hurts, it hurts to the whole body.
That's right. Sorry, Major, I cut you off.
You have asked just about victory, how we can say victory. For me, victory is a world without dictator values, is a world with freedom values. So that's why I understand definitely it shouldn't. It can be the peace if the Russia will be strong. So victory is world without Russia.
Anybody else? What's victory look like to you, Lieutenant Colonel?
It's strategic. Dmytro mentioned about strategic, and in tactics, it's strengthening our capabilities to resist, strengthening with you guys, strengthening unity efforts of NATO. It will be victory.
Yeah.
So
Ukraine becoming part of NATO, is that a?
Maybe in future, NATO will gain one of the
or
TRS army.
or NATO would become a part of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because it's our Ukrainian history. We was always this shield between Europe and Eastern hordes.
Yeah.
Huns, Mongolian, Tatarians.
Yes.
It's our nature. We're always fighting to stop this fluid from East.
And that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so if they make you part of NATO, then you lose that shield. That's kind of the view, right? Right. And Ukraine's is the consequence of that is Ukraine. With all this happening, like I said, I see a current escalation. What gives you guys hope right now? Is there hope? Like, do you guys hope for the future?
When war starts, no one bet on us. Even me, I have a lot of reports about Russian forces and capabilities ratio between our small garrison in Mariupol, and we're thinking we will stand maybe 3 weeks, maybe months. And from the first day of battle, I'm like Bushido, I'm left my life. So I think I will never return my home.
You think you're going to die?
When I have conversation with my wife and she asked me when I come back, what will be, I'm start crying because I cannot answer her that I will never come back. But miracle happens. My chance be here, it's 1 from 10,000, and I be here. So it's miracle. With Lord help, we still have hope. So we 3 years fighting. They say they are best army in the world. They are first army. They are second army in the world. Our small country, with the first period, with no army, with any resource and potential, resist 3 years. And we burn a lot of Russian tanks. They thinking the tanks will be in Berlin, but we stop them in Donbass, in Kharkiv region, in South our region. So we have hope.
I believe that too, just from seeing. I mean, honestly, when I didn't know what to think when I first went there. My intentions to first go there was not for the Ukrainian people, it was for the Americans left behind. Immediately I go there and meet the Ukrainian people because I'd never been there before. And my heart turned to stay and help. But my immediate thought was this will last maybe 3 months. And I was blown away. I think I witnessed a miracle myself in seeing some of these places. Mainly, my experience of seeing that was the will of the Ukrainian people. Being in Kharkiv, I spent the night in Kharkiv in this bunker, and over the middle of the night we got bombed in the middle of the night, and we wake up, and they were having a worship service. Mm-hmm. There was like 300 people, women and elderly. And they asked me to join a worship service. These people lost everything. They didn't have homes anymore, jobs. They all lost family members, and they're worshiping Jesus and asked me to be part of it and say something. They wanted me to say something, and I said, "Man, what in the world could I say to these people who lost everything?" And the only thing I knew how to say is that we care. We may not have answers, but we're here. And I believed in that moment. I said it then. And I believe it so strongly that not only was me and my team there, but God was there with those people. And I believe God has, like you said, has chosen to be on the right side of this. I believe the Ukrainian people, regardless of anything else, are on the right side of this and simply defending their homes and their people and their freedoms. And God is honoring that and with you guys. And we've seen miracle after miracle allows a small nation of Ukrainian brave men and women, and I think he'll continue to be with you guys through the end.
It's a biblical story of David and Goliath fighting. We had nothing to fight with, but we're fighting with 5 smooth stones.
We got javelins.
Yeah.
See what those could do. Actually, he likes javelins. I like javelins.
Actually, everybody loves javelins.
I'm telling you,
the Russians don't like javelins.
If we got those javelins in 2015, this war probably would never happen.
Yeah.
Because it was a game changer.
I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, you've seen it melt it. Wow. They work.
Yeah.
One of the things that the world hasn't seen in a long time is a uniform on uniform. And to me, being a warfighter and coming from the military, I just don't see that the world as being an okay thing in our world to see uniform on uniform fighting. Tribal wars and insurgencies, I understand that. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. But uniform on uniform, nation on nation, we seem like in 2024 we shouldn't be there as a nation, invading our neighbors. And anyone that would be confused that this is okay should really, really evaluate their position. It's not okay.
This war makes no sense. There is no reasoning for this war. So that's why I think Putin is pure evil. He's devil. And that's why I believe God is on our side, because we are fighting devil, because there is no reason for this war at all.
Yeah. Well, man, before we wrap up, because I know you guys have to go eat some good Texan food, we're out of time. Is there anything else that I missed that you guys want to say to the people listening?
Maybe one thing, like for ending, like little story. When I was child, I'm sitting with my father. I think he listened me from heaven, and we watching Full Metal Jacket movie. I ask father, what about this movie? He tell about American boys in Vietnam, and I asking him, what are they doing there? And he told me, listen a song. And the end of the song it was, if we don't save freedom now at any cost, one day our own freedom will be lost. It was make huge impression for me as a child.
Yeah.
And I remember, now it's actually one of my favorite songs, Hello Vietnam.
Yeah. And it's a great movie.
And great movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Pastor, as we close out, I believe in the power of prayer. It's not a normal thing we do on the show, but you're a pastor. You have a heart for, obviously, in the first frontline view of what's happening. I want to invite the audience to pray for the people of Ukraine. Not everybody could go there. Not everybody could provide support, but everyone could pray. And so I want to ask the audience to join us in prayer for the people of Ukraine who are fighting for their homes. And if you could lead us in that prayer, is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a privilege. Father, we thank you for being here. Thank you for our brothers and sisters who support us in this war and care enough not just to express deep concerns, but to pray for us and to help and support. Thank you for this great nation of America. Thank you for their history. Thank you that they know what freedom is, and they paid a great price for this freedom. And right now we are doing the same. We're paying a price for this freedom. And thank you for such good friends who support us in this fight. And we pray for everyone who is now in trenches. Please protect them, be with them. Please help those who are wounded. Comfort those who lost their loved ones. And we ask you for peace through victory for Ukraine. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Hey, thank you guys so much. For those listening, I appreciate you praying for their, like he said in his prayer, there are men and women, in fact, in the trenches right now in the front lines fighting. There'll be probably a time we did this episode and you listen to someone who have lost their life. So be praying for them beyond this prayer. If you want to know more about this topic, check out my book, A Mission Without Borders. Not saying that to sell books. I just think I wrote the book because I thought it's important for people to know. For you guys, I may have not got everything right. I apologize if I hadn't got everything right. But my motivation behind that book was to shed light on what's going on there and get people to care about it, simply to care. So thank you guys for being here. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned on our socials at Brazilian Show. If you're not already subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, like, share, comment. Let's get the word out. Appreciate you guys so much. God bless. Hey guys, thank you for watching this episode of The Resilient Show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you hadn't already, please click subscribe so you don't miss any future content. We have so many amazing guests scheduled and you don't want to miss it.